The fact that you need to improve something in your solo playing is certainly not a disaster or the end of the world. I think it's quite natural that we want to keep on growing. I think it's a part of being a musician that you want to play things better, and there are always going to be things that you can improve. At the same time, it's also important that you can realize which areas of your playing needs to receive a bit of work, a bit of attention, that you can recognize the problem, and that you can find some solid strategies to start solving that problem. In this video, I'm going to take a look at 3 topics that are quite common. It's stuff that I have to tell students all the time. I see it very often when people are posting their playing in the Facebook group. And of course I also see it in my own playing. And they're maybe a little bit hard to spot, but they are also very common, and there are also quite easy ways to start working on fixing them in your own playing. My name is Jens Larsen. Learn jazz, make music. Overplaying is a difficult thing to manage in the beginning because we are actually training ourselves to play way too much. We want to be able to play all the changes, hit all the target notes, use all the different arpeggios, and that's just naturally going to make us overplay every time that we play. So it's also important that you start thinking about whether you actually are playing something that the music asks for, and if you're still managing to really make music with all the different things that you want to play. Because if you're just playing a bunch of ideas and just trying to play everything that you know, then you're probably going to sound like you're rambling. When it comes to music, then overplaying is also a question of taste. Some people prefer high information, lots of notes and lots of different things happening in a solo, and other people will prefer to hear a more sparse, more subdued expression that's not really high on all the technical things that are usually associated with overplaying. The main thing that I think you need to recognize with this in your own playing is if you're listening to a recording of your own solo and it just sounds like a long stream of 8 notes, there are no sort of connection between the different phrases, and it doesn't sound like you're playing any kind of real musical statements, then you need to start working on that. And then of course, how much you want to take that down is also going to be a question of taste. You need to develop your taste to make decisions about how dense you like your solos to be. But you definitely want to keep in mind that it has to be musical sentences. So you have to think about it as a conversation. You want to speak in sentences, you want to have a story, you want to have a conclusion, and it has to all make sense. I think one of the best examples of this is if you listen to Wes Montgomery. He pretty much always plays longer phrases that are composed of smaller phrases, developing motifs, working with it in that way, and he's a great example of somebody who just really always manages to make sense musically. There are many exercises that you can do to control how much you're playing. I think some of the main ones would be sort of pretty mechanical, where you say, I'm going to play 1 bar, rest the other one, or maybe play 2 bars and then rest 2 bars. But you can also work with controlling the impulses you get to play. So if you have an idea to play something, the first time you play it, and then the next impulse you get, you force yourself to just stop and not play, and then wait for the next one to come up. And that way you're more in control of when you're playing and when you're not, thinking about how much you're playing, and also of course trying to get the whole thing to make sense. There are 2 sides to the basic issue of timing. I think one part is how strong is your inner time, how good are you at feeling time without getting distracted. And then another part of it is technically how able are you actually to execute things in time. And I think there are both things that you kind of want to work on, and it's good to be aware that there are these 2 sides to it and that you should work on it like that, because that's going to improve your overall timing drastically. Since I made the video on how backing tracks are really stopping you from developing your own time feel and being really precise when you're playing, then I've had a lot of comments from people telling me that that was completely wrong and I didn't know what I was talking about. And sometimes I would click through to their YouTube channels, and then they were actually have videos where they were playing on backing tracks and they couldn't tell that they were really out of time and that nothing was really precise or not really there. And that's really a huge part of this problem with timing. It's very difficult to hear if you're really in time and you want to really pay attention, and it's just a lot easier if you only have 1 click that you need to be together with, not an entire backing track or an entire drum groove. That's just how it is. This is a difficult skill to work on, and it can also be quite frustrating. The best thing you can do is probably to record yourself, because it's easier to hear if you're really in time if you're listening to a recording and not trying to listen while you're playing. When you're playing, it's really difficult to hear if you're really in time. So if you record yourself and then make it easy for yourself, record yourself with a click, not a complete backing track, just a click so you can really hear, am I together with that click or not? And I'm not saying that you always have to be that precise or sound mechanical. You can be loose if you want to, but you also want to have time that is so strong that if you want to be precise, if you want to be together with the click, then you can. So the main thing is turn off that MIDI backing track and turn on the metronome. Practice mostly like that. You're gonna boost a lot of things in your playing, not only your timing. If you want to check out some of the different metronome exercises that I've already covered in videos, then check out the playlist that I'm linking to in the description of this video. Even if you're fairly experienced and know a lot of songs, then very often when you're playing something that's just a little bit more difficult, then there's one place in the song that doesn't really come out right, or maybe you only have one solution that works, or you have to play in one spot in the neck, and those are the kind of places you want to be a little bit careful with. The problem with this is mostly that if you have a spot like that, then whatever melodic idea, whatever flow you're in when you're soloing, that's going to be broken up because you need to go away from that and then back and play in some certain part of the neck or some certain line in that one place. And that's always going to mess up everything else that's going on, and in that way ruining a huge part of your solo and making it a lot less strong as a sort of complete whole musical statement. Again, the easiest way to recognize this is probably to record your own solo playing and then just listen if you're always playing the same, if you don't notice while playing. This is one of the things that I find a little bit easier to notice if you start getting used to thinking about, well, did I play this in the last chorus as well? But otherwise, recording yourself is always good, and make sure to play longer solos when you're practicing. If you want to work on this, I think one thing that worked really well for me is to just take songs that I'm working on and then force myself to play a solo in just one position. You don't have to be systematic about it, you don't have to do all positions always. I think just forcing yourself into one position on one song, taking another song and then doing the same kind of thing in another position is something that's going to open up your playing a lot and help you make those connections and give you more freedom when you're playing, which is of course also what you want to do. Because you want to be free and you want to be able to have your musical ideas guide where you're going, not your technical limitations and which licks you happen to know on those changes. If you want some more thoughts on how you should approach learning jazz, which songs to learn, how to optimize your practice sessions, then check out this playlist where I have a few videos covering that topic.